Hi everyone. If you've been following my videos or posts over the last little while, you'll see that I've been focusing in on emotional health and internal freedom. I think they're topics that are really crucial for us in the church, but also in the world at large. Really, there's so much more freedom for people to step into, and emotional health is key for us to step into that freedom. So I thought maybe it'd be helpful if you're in a church setting where perhaps people aren't emotionally healthy at the moment, or you want to go on a journey together, just for me to share some tips really on how you can help people get comfortable with emotion. Because if people aren't comfortable with emotion, they're likely to squash it down rather than feel okay to express it. So just a few thoughts really. I think the first thing that's really important to do, and that we can do as leaders in churches, is to give people permission to feel and express emotion. So just some of the ways I do this. If I'm leading some ministry time from the front, then I will literally say things like, some of you here are going to feel like you need to cry, and that is okay. Some of you here, you might feel angry, and that is okay. Some of you here might feel like you want to laugh, and that is okay. So I am literally giving permission from the front to cover the scope of emotion that might be being felt in the room, and to help people to feel it's okay for me to express this, it's okay for me to cry, it's okay for me to feel. So I'm literally giving permission from the front, and I do that a lot when I travel, and the response in terms of emotional connection is pretty significant. I think you can also give permission when you're praying for someone one-on-one. So if they start to get emotional, you can say to them, you're doing so well, it's okay to feel this. If you're getting them to express stuff to someone in order to forgive them or express stuff to God, you can say it's okay for you to feel this. They might feel angry, and again, you just can say to them while you're there, it's okay for you to feel angry. Or if they start to laugh, so many times I've prayed with people or seen people who God suddenly meets with them, they start to laugh in the spirit, but they cover their mouths as if to try and suppress it. And so if I'm there with them, I say it's okay for you to laugh. And so again, I'm giving verbal permission to them as I'm praying for them in that setting. You can do that in a small group, you can do that from the front of the church, but you can also do that one-on-one. And I think verbally giving permission is really key, even in settings where emotion comes out of the blue. You might be in a meeting, for example, and someone starts to share something and they start to get emotional about it. And I can't tell you the number of times, and this is particularly my experience with women. I've done it, and lots of women I know have done this. How many times they start to connect emotionally, start to feel emotion, and then apologise. I don't know if you've done that yourself, but there's an apology. I'm so sorry I'm crying, or sorry I'm getting emotional, or I'm about to cry now. It's like they announce it because it feels scary to feel and to express emotion. And that's certainly been my experience. And I think we've got to help people realise they don't have to apologise for crying. They don't have to apologise for getting emotional. They don't have to apologise for feeling feisty about a particular issue. We shouldn't have to apologise for joy. And so again, even in those meetings, if someone starts to get emotional, it's saying, as the leader, as someone in the meeting, saying, it's okay that you're feeling that. It's okay that you're expressing that. So I think giving verbal permission is key. I think the second thing would be for us to get comfortable with emotion and not to be freaked out by it. I think if we're not comfortable with people expressing and feeling emotion, the temptations will be that we shut it down, that we just are awkward. We can just be awkward around people because we don't know what to do. And if you're around someone who's awkward with emotion, what you tend to do is shut it down because it feels awkward. Or we try to fix the situation because we're not comfortable with this person's emotion, so we want to quickly try and work out how can we fix this situation. Or we move on too quickly to the truth, and so we short circuit the person's opportunity to express and to feel and to process. And so I think we need to be comfortable with emotion. We need to get okay with it. We need to be okay with people expressing anger, feeling anger. We need to be okay with people crying. We need to be okay with people experiencing and feeling joy. And I think if you can create an environment where you're not freaked out by emotion, you're not put off by emotion, you're not scared of emotion, but you get comfortable with it, I think that will help people to feel permission to express and feel. And then the last thing would be that as leaders, we've got to model expressing emotion. We've got to model emotion. And some of the ways we can do that, sometimes I would share stories when I'm preaching or teaching, or even when I'm one-on-one with someone, I'll share a story of where I've gone to Jesus and I've expressed emotion, I've got angry, or I've had joy. And so I'm sharing stories of my own experience and my own journey. And sometimes even when I'm preaching, I'll do that through stories. Also, there are times when I'm in a church setting or in a meeting and God suddenly starts to meet with me, and I get emotional and I might start crying or I might start laughing. And I think it's in those moments choosing to go with it rather than suppressing it. Sometimes we can think, well, I'm leading, I shouldn't be doing that, I need to keep that for the secret hidden place. And obviously we've got to be wise about that, but more often than not, I think it's actually fine for us to express stuff in the moment. And actually, some of the ways that I've felt most permission and most free to express and feel emotion is by watching people who are leading me get emotion and express their emotion. So I think there's something very powerful about us modelling it. And I know in my experience there have been times when I have really wept with God in a public meeting, and lots of people have felt freedom to do the same because they've watched me do it. And so I think that's also a key part of the journey. So I hope that's helpful, just a few ideas as to how you can create a culture where people feel safe and free to express emotion. I just want to encourage you to go on this journey. If, like I've said before, if you're a leader who isn't yet emotionally healthy or still on that journey of feeling and connecting with your emotions, do go on the journey. It's so worthwhile. Speaking as someone who used to be very emotionally shut down, God has really done a wonderful work in me and set me free. And obviously there's still stuff for me to learn, but I think God's heart for us is that we would be emotionally healthy and have increasing internal freedom. So do go on that journey, and the more you go on that journey, the more you'll be able to help the other people around you do the same.